Hey there, and welcome to our IT Fundamentals course by Bigger IT Solutions. My name is David Bigger, and I'm going to be your instructor for this course. Now, what this course is really about is a real beginner's first look at the world of information technology. Right? We're looking at this from a no jargon, no assumption point of view out here. We're making this at a very, very simple level, right? And I'm not trying to do this to make fun of anybody. I'm not trying to do this to make anybody feel belittled. I want to make sure there's no jargon, no assumptions, so you can have this foundational knowledge to get you started in the great world, I love it, of information technology. So, information technology, or what even is this IT thing, right? Well, IT, in plain terms, it's the tools and systems people like you and me we use every day, right? And it shows up everywhere. If you not to cut myself off, but look over here. I mean, this is the stuff that we do all the time. The phone in your pocket, the Wi-Fi router in your house or at the office, the app you use to order lunch or to get to work or get to the mall. Right? If you ordered a Uber driver or DoorDash or any app for that matter, the card reader at checkout. You just went through the department store. You went to the grocery on the way home and you paid with your credit card, right? Touch to pay, or you inserted that card, or you swiped it. All IT, all information technology. The account that just sent you the login code. Maybe you logged into your bank. Maybe you're trying to check your email. And you get that code sent to your phone, right? You got that phone and you get that code sent to you. And that is what we call a one time password, a OTP, just to throw that first technical jargon out there to you. Way ahead of ourselves, and it doesn't matter if you know that or not, but that's IT. All of this is information technology. Now, I love my little analogy down here. Think of it less like computer wizardry and more like plumbing in your home. Right? It's mostly invisible until really something goes wrong or something is bad. Right? If a pipe starts leaking or it happens to bust in your wall or it's clogged up, somebody has to get in there and look at it and see what's going on to understand. Same thing in your home network. Right? Think about that just for a second. As long as everything is smooth, you're playing your games, you're on social media, everybody's happy. But as soon as the network goes down, right, your ISP, the Wi-Fi, whatever the issue is, you gotta, power goes out, something, people don't like that. They immediately think, what am I going to do now? Right? Because we take this for granted, I think, all the time. So, like I said, mostly invisible until something breaks, and everything depends on it working quietly in the background. And we usually don't think about it, right? We just don't worry about it. As long as the network is working, everybody's happy. But we want to take a look at that in this course, kind of peek under the hood so we can see what's happening underneath. Not just take for granted that, oh, well, the Wi Fi is working or it's not working. We want to know why. We actually have a whole troubleshooting chapter just for this course. So, since we're talking about this course, who is this course actually for? Now, this course is aimed for the beginners or people making a career switch, right? I am targeting the folks that know zero about information technology. You did good to find this YouTube video, right? You did good to find this training video wherever you found it. I'm assuming it's on YouTube, but it could get resold by this point. Who knows? Anyway, you found it on a piece of information technology. You found it on a device, on your phone, a tablet, a PC, something, maybe a smart TV for that matter. Right? Somewhere you're watching this. So I know you have a little bit of knowledge, right? You know how to turn a device on, you know how to surf, you know how to get to an app, you might know how to get to an app store, but you might not know what CPU means. You might not know what an IP address actually is. You might have heard the term, heard it on a movie or TV show, but you're not really sure what that is. That's the folks I'm geared for, right? That's the folks I'm targeting for this class. Maybe you've never opened a task manager on purpose. Somebody told you to do it and you're like, wow, what is this? I can see all kind of stuff, but you're not real sure what that is. You're eyeing IT or cyber, but maybe it feels like a locked door, right? The bar is set too high. Or maybe you're worried about AI. You're like, hey, I want to get into this, but isn't the AI going to take all these jobs? What is it that I need to learn? What is it that I need to know? Or maybe you want to understand that more. Maybe you want to get into the AI field. All right, this is going to help you. This is that foundational knowledge. Could be the home lab hopeful. This is probably the high end of our students for this course because if you're already thinking about building a home lab, right? If you're already thinking, I want to install some things like VirtualBox or Proxmox or a virtualized server, all right? You might want some foundational knowledge first, right? You've seen a YouTube video, you've seen other folks out there. Network Chuck, you're awesome, by the way. Maybe you saw some of his videos, right? And you're like, I want to do that, but I don't know what that means, right? That's what you're here for. That's what you're here for, to learn what that CPU is, to learn what a MAC address is, what your network interface card is going to do, right? What input, output, processing, all of that. We're going to cover that in this course. Of course, it's going to be at a foundational knowledge because you have to build a good foundation. Think of this like building a home, right? If you were to build a home, or let's say a high rise, that's a better example. Let's say you want to build a high rise that's 20, 30, 40, 50 stories high. You need a good foundation to put that on top of. If you built that on top of something like sand or mud, it's not working. It's going to fall. You don't have a good foundation. That's what I want to focus on, that good foundation, so that misinformation and disinformation is out the door, right? You got a good foundation, and now you can go build, or build your career to be a server admin, right? To be a cybersecurity incident handler, SOC analyst. Maybe you just want to be help desk. Maybe you want to be a programmer. Whatever, the sky's the limit, right? Your imagination is the limit out there. So, foundational course. So, what I hope you walk away with is some confident and correct vocabulary. Again, foundational knowledge. This is my favorite box in this chapter. This is why it matters to me. Bad habits and half-right explanations, they're very easy to pick up. They're actually very easy to share too. I'm guilty. I've done it. And if you talk to any IT person, it's, oh, I've never made it. Easy there, right? But these are easy to pick up and they're hard to shake. Once you get that solidified in your head, right, wrong, or indifferent, it usually stays. And you start building upon that, right? So if you didn't understand what a CPU was at first, and you thought you had an idea what it was, and you just kept that in your head, and you started learning more things over the months and over the years, eventually that's going to be so solidified, you're not going to be able to change your mind. That's just going to be the way that it is, even though it might be totally wrong. Right? And I've been there. I've done that. I've read something. I've studied it or whatever, and maybe for a year. I might even taught it back to students like that before, right? And I feel about this big when I do that. But I learned. I realized, oh, I shouldn't have said it that particular way, or I shouldn't have said it this particular way. So it does happen. I don't want to put that out there that I'm the know-all, be-all of IT, because I'm definitely not. But I think I have a very good experience level to help these foundational folks, or with this foundational knowledge, I should say. So again, what are we walking away with? Correct vocabulary, a working mental model of how things actually work, right? So you can do this part right here. You can follow the conversations. You don't have to be the dude standing up and like, what are they talking about? Or just, yeah, okay, ha ha ha. Now you get the joke, or you understand their pain. Maybe they're complaining about something, and you walk by and you're like, man, the IT guys are just complaining again. That's all they do, right? But now you're going to know why we complain all the time. Somebody's writing their password down. Anyway, we won't go down that rabbit hole. The troubleshooting mindset. When something breaks, maybe you're the go-to person now, right? Hey, I understand that. Or hey, just restarting it is fixing it, but why does that fix it? When you reboot that PC and it seems to make it run a little smoother, why does that happen? You may not know, you just know that's what my IT buddy told me, that's what they say on YouTube, that's what ChatGPT told me, so that's what I'm going to do. Now you're going to know why. Now you're going to understand that a little bit better. Again, we're not going to get super technical, so I don't want you to think you have to have all this knowledge already. This is a foundational course. That's why you're here. So, how is this structured? What are you going to learn, right? 11 chapters start to finish, and a lot of things. Hardware. We're going to go over CPU, RAM, peripherals, keyboards, mice, connector types. We're going to look at software, application level software, operating systems. We're going to look at Windows. We're going to look at Linux. We're going to look at Mac. We're going to look at networking. How does the data actually move? And these two are my favorite, networking and security, because I love how the data gets from point A to point B. Right? How does it get through a switch? How does it get through a router? How does it get through a firewall? How does it get through these devices? And that kind of bleeds into security, since I mentioned a firewall, because everything that we do nowadays has to have security in mind. It really can't be an afterthought anymore. So I'm not going to get on the soapbox. I almost did it. We'll wait till we get to the security chapter. And then we got a good chapter on troubleshooting as well, which is something that you just do in IT in general. You probably do it in your house, honestly. When you set up your Wi-Fi, when you set up your home network, it just happens. If you've got kids, a spouse, or whomever, you support other people, you're the IT guy, even though you may not have that distinction. Well, dad set that up. Mom set that up. Hey, mom, dad, can you fix this? The Wi-Fi's down. Troubleshooting. It happens all the time. So remember, plain English first, technical terms second. That's the way I'm going to try. Now, if I do throw a technical term out there, right, there's a reason. You may need to know it. And if I do throw a technical term out there, I'm going to explain myself. I won't just say, hey, there's the flux capacitor, and then take off this way. We'll break it down, what that does. I give you an analogy. We'll break it down into plain English, right? Common sense, I think, is a good way to look at this. Because there's no prior knowledge assumed at any point. I'm going to assume, honestly, that you have zero knowledge, right? That you don't know anything, and that I am teaching you very, very basics of what a computer is. And again, you're taking this foundational knowledge to build your career, to go into servers, programming, networking, wherever. Now, there is a student guide to follow along with this course. So you've probably already went and grabbed it. You've probably looked through it a little bit. There's self-checks at the end of each chapter. They're not in the PowerPoints. They won't be in the videos. I won't take time to go over those for you. But you can definitely pause the video. You can get into the student guide and go take some of those self-checks at the end. It's not a test, right? There's no certification for this. It's just a way for you to understand that chapter. Or a better way of looking at it is, once you do those questions, how do you feel that you understand that chapter? Because if you look at those 3 or 4 questions and you're like, I have no idea what that means, well, guess what? You might need to go back, watch the video again. You might need to read through the study guide again. And if you get them, you're like, oh, I remember that. Oh, yeah, I remember that is, and you're getting excited about it, then you're doing fantastic. You're picking up what I'm putting down. You're going through the study guide the right way, and you're learning that information. So that's fantastic. That's exactly what we want to see. So that is the end of chapter 1. Just a welcome, just a little foundational foundation of the foundations, if you will, right? What this course is going to be about. Now, chapter 2, the basics of computing, is where we're really going to get started. We're going to look at the bits and the bytes and what that computing actually means out there. What is it that this is doing out there? No math lecture, I promise. We're still going to keep it foundational, no technical jargon, but we're going to have a lot of fun when we get out there. So I'll see you in chapter 2 here in just a few minutes.